Welcome to the SDG Media Zone, coming to you from the UN headquarters during the EcoCircus Forum. This session will address the very important topic of youth unemployment crisis. And I'm here with Lindsey Madisson, founder of Impactaya, and also member of the UN Youth Office Reference Group. Welcome. We also have Puneet Singh Singhal, co-founder of Billion Strong and also a member of the UN Youth Office Reference Group. My name is Bora Kamwanya. I am a vice president of the Pan-African Youth Union, and I have the great honor of being the moderator of this session. Puneet, Lindsey, across continent, one reality unites us all. Millions of young people are unemployed, thus they are unheard, untapped, and also underestimated. More than a statistic, youth unemployment is a daily erosion of youth dignity, ambition, and also stabilities of our countries. Today, we are not here to discuss a problem that we already understand. We are here to challenge the system that perpetuates it, but also to create solutions, to co-create solutions that match the scale of youth potential. Because, of course, a sustainable and inclusive future depends on achieving inclusive economic growth and, of course, decent work for all. Yet, young people aged 15 to 24 continue to face persistent barrier to accessing meaningful and productive employment. This session will highlight the bold, innovative ways in which young advocates like yourself are leading change and to ensure that every young person can access productive employment regardless of gender, income, or social economic background. I'd like to start with you, my brother Puneet. It is estimated that in 2025, around 262 million, so 1 in 4 young people aged 15 to 24 are neither employed or studying. What has contributed to this unemployment crisis for the youth?
Thanks, Bora. It's a big number. It's a big number, and I guess the population is increasing at a very fast rate, and the governments are not able to cope up to provide the employment opportunities for the growing population. So there is this mismatch, and also another mismatch which is causing this is that we are not studying the skills. We are not learning the skills that will make us employable in schools and colleges and universities. This is two mismatch that I have observed throughout my life, and throughout, I come from India, 1.5 billion people, so it's a country of scale. Even if the government claim that there is 4% unemployment, it will be a big number. So I think we need to think not in terms of number, but we need to think in terms of human stories, that even if a youngster is unemployed, what are the impact on his life, on his family's life, because the whole family is dependent on him or her, for that matter. So I think that is two mismatch that I would underline at this point of time. Yeah.
You mentioned India being a country of scale.
Yeah.
4% would be a lot.
Yeah.
What would you expect the government to do?
I think we need to think with the new approach. The world is changing. We need more green jobs. We need to formalize our unorganized economy as well, because there are a lot of people who are not coming under the insurance. There are a lot of people that are not working in the formal jobs, so they're not secure. They don't know what will happen tomorrow, and that insecurity is also causing a whole lot of problems, like drugs, like mental health issues as well. So it's a wicked problem. It is just not like unemployment. It is also causing poverty, and then it is also causing a whole lot of social and environmental problems.
Thank you for that. I'd like to jump onto you, Lindsey. I want to know, how can we ensure that all young people, of course, regardless of gender, income, or socioeconomic background, have access to decent work, and in light of what Puneet has shared with us?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I have to notice that I'm a college student by myself. So I'm a first-year student, and I feel like I'm connected with this issue a lot, especially because I'm Peruvian, and I come from a background where education isn't a priority. And I feel like in high schools, you are just taught how to do well in math, how to do well in Spanish, and that's it. What about the social emotional skills? So, as for that part, I feel like that's missing. When you come to college, you are always like enrolling into classes that will allow you to know about your career. If you study economics, then you have to know Excel, you have to know finance, right? But like, what about the ability of leading teams, of feeling that you can do something for your community, and using what you like, your passion, into something that is important and meaningful for you? That's what I feel it's missing.
That's very important. And of course, you said you're from Peru.
Yeah.
Peru that has a very young and driven population. I'd like to have a follow-up question for you, because you are a community leader, you're passionate about transforming education across Latin America through youth leadership, innovation, and policy advocacy. Why is access to productive employment, not just employment, but productive, critical employment, particularly when it comes to informal work and labor market inequality?
Yeah, so like there are a lot of informality, and that's caused when you don't find a job, a work you are actually passionate about, or like when there's like a lot of people trying to apply for a job you're looking for. And that, of course, what option do I have? That's a question that a lot of people ask themselves. And the answer is there are other options like informal jobs, right? So how can we address this? I think like a good answer would be like to create more employment, right? But like to create more employment, we need a lot of resources and different things. So that's not like quite simple. I feel like it all starts feeling prepared by yourself, feeling that you can succeed in the labor market, feeling that you have enough abilities, enough skills and resources to like apply for a job and be selected. And that's investment on education, investment on your preparation for yourself and for your future.
I like what you said. Puneet, how can we encourage young people in the informal sector to formalize?
I think that's a very important question, and I think governments are struggling to answer that because they are only scratching the surface.
Of course.
And we need to go to the root cause. You know, we need to understand, you know, what is making the problem, you know, in the first place. I work with a lot of young people, and especially I work with the young persons with disabilities. And you know what I have observed is that they are talented. You know, there are a lot of potential is there, but they are not getting the opportunity. You know, just because inclusion is not there, just because they are not getting that accessible workplace. For example, I give an example. You know, if a blind person is there and that person requires braille as a basic necessity to work, and you know, to actually process his life, you know, that person is not getting that facility out of workplaces, and the workplaces are ableist in that sense because they think that this person is disabled, so he will not be productive. So I think this mismatch, you know, so governments has to impose and implement the policies that is already in place, instead of just making new policies, because it will just increase the paperwork, it will just increase the load. But I believe that, you know, in the governments that I have worked, there are a lot of good policies, but the implementation is the key. So how we execute what we have promised to our people is very important.
Thank you. And do you think that this is mostly the role of the government, or do you think civil society and the private sector also has a role to play for?
Yeah, I feel like everyone has a role to play. So I've been working with young people across Latin America in empowering them and like supporting them in creating social entrepreneurship and how they can create like their own businesses or their own NGOs and support their communities. And that's really important, and that's not like made by the government, right? Yes. I hope the government support more these initiatives, initiatives that foster the creation of more skills for youth and the feeling of preparation by them. So yeah, I'd say that it's really important, like to promote these initiatives, and also like to come across and talk more about these issues, because I feel like in every space I've been, little is talked about youth unemployment, about economic equality, and this should be raised more in spaces, in tables.
That's great. That's very good to hear. You both mentioned what your individual organization are doing. And I know we have a lot of young people watching us right now, and what we've been asking young people is concrete actions. So could you tell us, let's start with Puneet, could you tell us what your organization is doing?
We are supporting young persons with disability in every aspect of their life. This is our aspiration. Right now we are supporting them in their education. We are supporting them, in getting them skilled, because the curriculum is so outdated, Bora. Like it's absolutely making me furious at this point of time, because it doesn't make any sense. What are you studying in the university is not getting you a job. So what's the whole purpose of this education? There is huge gap, and we are trying to build a bridge between this gap, which is like I don't think that it will be completed in my lifetime, but it's an ambition of mine to actually bring in some impact, because even if I can change, or I can improve a life of one person, it will be more than enough for me.
So this is Billion Strong.
Yes.
And right now, what does Billion Strong do? Tell us.
I
know we've discussed, and I know the great things that you guys are doing. So please sell it to us. Tell us.
We are creating modules,
yes.
Free modules for persons with disability, to train them, to make them aware that what is going on in the market world, that job world, because they are not aware. The education system is doing no good, unfortunately. I would be happy to proven wrong, but unfortunately, I don't see any of the global curriculum matching with currently AI. AI is everywhere there, and the universities are just introducing AI now. We have reached somewhere else.
Yes.
We have reached somehow, imagine we are on the 5th floor and they are just introducing on the ground floor of AI. So we have to reach that level where we understand AI, where we understand machine learning, and all of these skill set, and get ready for the real world.
Very good, very good. And so what you're doing is amazing. How can we replicate, because I suppose this is for India, how can we replicate your model in other countries? Because I'm pretty sure in Peru, I'm from DR Congo, we have the same issues. How can we replicate your business model so that we can reach even more young people?
It is already being replicated. We have branched out in South Asia, East Africa. So we are giving free access to our courses, because this is our imperative. It's our dream to make sure that we can penetrate to the rural population, to women with disabilities, to youngsters with disability, because they are marginalized on whole lot of different manners, because they are multiply marginalized, because they are coming from a rural background, and then you are disabled. So we need to think about intersectionality as well, that how these forms of discrimination work. It's not very simple to understand that a person from an urban space and a person from rural space, they have to face a very different trajectory of life.
Yes, very good. I'd like to jump onto you, Lindsey. Same question. You've mentioned your organization and what Impactaya.
Yeah.
What you're doing. Could you tell us concretely how you're impacting young people?
Yeah, of course. So Impactaya is a Peruvian NGO. It was designed and led by and for young people. I'm the founder, and what we basically do is foster social entrepreneurship by giving and matching our students with mentors that can go with them in the process of creating their own NGO or become social entrepreneurs. And we have virtual first, in-person first, and we also offer funding through our partners.
Very good. And the same question again as with Puneet. How do you see your model being replicated in other geographical zones in the world to have the same results?
I feel it was done by me when I was a couple of years younger, and I'm 18. So I feel like it can be replicated by anyone, any youth that want to step in and create an impact in their community. So everything is possible, and they can look for partnerships, and they can look for other people that are interested in also creating an impact in their community.
Very good. Young people, Puneet and Lindsey have exposed very innovative ways of bridging the gap between unemployment and employment. It's very important for you to now look for them, they're right here, and to connect and to see how you can replicate their model in your own communities. I'd like for you guys to take perhaps 1 minute to speak directly to young people. You're from India, you're from Peru, but this is the United Nations, and everybody is listening to you and watching you right now. What would you tell another young person who is discouraged by this ongoing unemployment crisis? Lindsey?
As a young person, I also felt discouraged when I was like looking for internships or like other opportunities where I could be part of, and that's where this idea of creating opportunities by myself came up. So if you are facing a problem when finding opportunities, just look for people that have already gone through your process, or maybe create your own opportunity. I think like youth is really invested and is really into social change, and we have to get that spirit and use it in favor of our communities.
Very good. Thank you. I take note, create your own opportunities if the opportunity is not offered to you. That's very powerful. Puneet?
Yeah, I think carrying on with what Lindsey has said, that no step is too small. Just believe in yourself. At that time, it's very difficult when you are not getting success. It's very difficult to have that self-belief, and it's to ask a very specific question. My mom always says that a newborn baby has to cry in order to get milk from her mother, right? So if you are ask very specific questions, have lot of mentors, be very specific. Don't say that that I receive whole lot of messages that help me on LinkedIn, just help me. I say, what do you need help with? Tell me about your qualification, tell me about your interest, tell me about your skill set, tell me about whole lot of things in 5-6 sentences. That's it. Be very specific. And people are ready to help, but you have to help them in order to help them, right? So this is a cycle. We have to we have to learn to ask good questions, and young people have to be very proactive in order to have that ask in the universe, that we have social media, we can connect literally to everywhere. This is not an issue. The issue is that do you have the drive, and it's very difficult to be consistent. So consistency is the key here. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much. Create your own opportunities. No step is too small. These are very powerful messages for all of us. Let us leave this conversation with a clear conviction. Youth are not waiting to be empowered. In fact, they are ready to lead, as you can see with our two panelists today. What they need is access, trust, and investment. If we fail to act, we risk not only economic stagnation, but the generation that feels left behind. But if we succeed, when we succeed, we will unlock innovation, resilience, and inclusive growth on a global scale. So the question is no longer what can be done. It is what will we do starting now. This was the SDG Media Zone coming from the United Nations headquarters during the ECOSOC Youth Forum. Thank you for being with us.